Hello. Do you think that Big Brother is watching? Or that the Illuminati is planning to take over the world? Have you had an encounter with a space alien today? Well, if the answer to those questions is yes, then grab your hat. This is tinfoil hat time. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Oh. Ooh boy. I got mad today. And that's what caused this tinfoil hat time. And I gotta say, this is one of the first tinfoil hat times that I'm doing that I actually have an article written to go with the live tinfoil hat time. I usually used to do the article, get everything up, record the tinfoil hat time, finalize the article, you know, while the thing's encoding. But with these live tinfoil hat times, there's just so much good discussion going on. And I wrote the article in advance to have a little bit more structure. But why we need structure? I don't know. Anyway. Hey, Ryan. It's great to finally see that you made it. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to do my brief introductions right here. The final countdown. Really bad 80s bands. All right. Hello, Piggy Uniform. How are you? Hi, Bernie. Is that Enya? Like Enya? I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is it Enya, maybe? I don't know. Hello, how are ya? Okay, Ryan, great to see that you finally made it here. Hello, I don't care. All right. So, first I want to do a quick shout out to somebody here. Piggy Uniform's on. Young man doing a lot of cool stuff on Linux. And I just really want to say that go check out his channel up there. He's up there in the comments. You know, young man just doing a whole lot better stuff than most young men his own age. I got to say, that's pretty cool. So I just want to do a quick shout out. And I watched a couple of the videos that were on there, and you know, it was pretty cool to see somebody. And I always say, you know, if the technology existed way back then that exists now, I probably would have gone into a different field. Like, one of the reasons I did not go into programming is because it was just too expensive. You know, like a C compiler would cost $1,000 for a program, and Microsoft's was your only choice. Yeah, right. So I just wanted to just kind of jump out and say all that. And we are going to be talking today about corporatocracy. And one friend may or may not be on. Thought I was just making up words, and I'm not. I'm looking for my analytics. I can never seem to find my analytics on the live control room. There we are. And I'm going to shoot a quick message over there to that friend, make sure that he's there. I'll check to see if your comment's there, Piggy. I thought I had them all approved, but I know some came out this afternoon. I was writing this article, which is like 1,000 words today, and I'm just going to shoot a quick text out to somebody. So, corporatocracy. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, this is not a made-up word. It is a fairly new concept in the field of business. It is a it is an econopolitics or politico-economics, whichever way you see it. It is a means of putting together business and industry and government in a way that corporatocracy says that the companies and the company interests are what actually runs the government. And it's perilously close to things like capitalism. And a lot of people will still say we are in a capitalist society. And we are not in a capitalist society, at least as of 2008. Because in a capitalist society, a business is allowed to fail. They don't get too big to fail. And so when businesses came out, they should have failed. Because you know what? A bunch of banks failed. A whole bunch more will come up behind it. Trust me, we got like 80,000 bajillion different banks in my town. There's like more banks in this college town than there are bars, and I did not think that was possible. I don't like any of them. All right. Hey, Deb, how are you? I just texted you. All right. So, we are going to jump on here to Corporatocracy. So let me start out by giving you this long title. This is called The Corporate Oppression of the World. And this is probably one of those topics that's kind of closer to the tinfoil hatness. Of course, if you're new to my channel or whatever else, I'm not like a true conspiracy theorist. Guys like Alex Jones, they're kind of like freak me out a little bit. A lot of the other guys in the conspiracy theory things. Now, I wanted to include another article that we're going to talk about here today, and I intentionally excluded it because the only place that I could actually find the resources were conspiracy theorists. And I was like, no, I'm not going to quote from conspiracy theorists. I'm not going to throw gas on that fire. The only fire I want to throw gas on is the fire when I turn on my Tom on Fire cam, and who knows if and when that'll happen. But corporatocracy is when the political interests are controlled by the corporate interest. And a few intersecting factors cause this. I will tell you that the stake of the Linux kiddies is on the line. Okay, now I moved into this apartment complex last year, and hilariously, I did a video about 6 months ago, and it was called Corporate Misbehavior. And in that video, I talked about literally how kind of incompetent this property manager was. And I went into a little bit of detail there, and they're still incompetent. Well, I get this very rude letter delivered by a very rude woman. I mean, this woman's crazy. Like, she's so crazy, she yelled at my neighbor, and I heard it through the walls. And that's just, like, nuts. But she delivers this letter to me. It's extremely rude. Like, you have cats, and you need to do this and this and this. I'm like, lady, the fact that I have cats has always been disclosed on the application. She's like, well, you didn't declare it to me. It's written on my application. That's declared in writing. That is the best thing. Other than sending you a certified letter, I cannot do any better than a written statement on there. And I even orally told her about my fish, and she didn't do a pet addendum to that either. And so it's just like, well, what does this woman want? Would you like me to hire a skywriter and skywrite it over there? The Linux kitties live here. And blah, blah, blah. It's like, so she's just driving me mad. And actually, she's kind of pissing off the whole apartment complex. So either we're going to get some action going here, or I'm going to start a social movement in this place, and I'm on fire. And I think I can probably make a viral YouTube video. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So the Linux kitties are on the line. The Linux kitties are on the line. Yeah. But if that wasn't enough. Oh, this one's hilarious. So way back, hold on a second. I just got to readjust the kitty cam. Because Kitty finally decided to go and lay down in Kitty's spot. Let me see if that kitty cam's adjusted there right. Let me go ahead and do that. Oh, look at that kitty cam. We got to have a kitty cam. Kitty cam. Kitty cam. Okay. Anyway, back to this. So what we're going to do, does she know my Linux kitties are internet stars? No. I'm not sure there's any brain cells rubbing together up there. All right, let me go out and have a quick look here, see if there's any messages coming through. They're putting chemicals in the water and making frogs gay. Well, you know, they can make the frogs gay all they want. Frogs actually have an intriguing biology where they'll actually shift to the gender that is needed at the time. If you watch the movie Jurassic Park, they kind of use that as an explanation for how the dinosaurs started to breed. But that is a legitimate reptile thing. Frogs will change their sex if you end up with all male frog population. You know, they'll shift. Only Tux can save us from the Illuminati. Amen. Tux, the Penguin Illuminati shield. All right. Hey, no problem for the shout out. You deserve it, man. Just keep that up. It is encouraging to see somebody as young as yourself doing such a good work. And that's cool. And for you guys that didn't watch it, like he did a perfectly well tutorialed crossfade on TFHT20Live, how to do that. It was pretty cool. What the frog thing was a quote from Caden? Oh, yeah, that does not surprise me that Alex Jones said that. Not in the slightest. All right. Anyway, back on topic. So the next big crazy thing that went on today is I come back and I like writing my articles, which is on switchtolinux.com. Now, the thing is I own a small hosting company, which goes along with my small web design company because, what better way of getting residual income than to host your clients' websites for you? Well, the thing is that I had Bluehost way back, like this is over a decade ago, I had Bluehost. And then Bluehost was bought up by a company called EIG. Now, EIG, when they buy up a company, they never rebrand it. You don't even know they own it unless you follow the small fine print business stuff. So they bought Bluehost, and then Bluehost just went right on down a toilet. It was a Chinese toilet with 2 foot of toilet paper that they had to utilize face recognition for. That's right. But I switched from there over to HostGator. At that time, HostGator was an amazing web host. A couple years later, EIG bought HostGator. Right now, I have 35 cPanels on HostGator on a reseller account. It's going to cost me probably 2-3 weeks and about $2,000-$3,000 to move everything over. So I'm stuck with a crummy host. So don't use HostGator. They suck. But I get in today, and my websites aren't turning on. And I'm like, what's going on? So usually it just might mean a server hiccup. So I go over to the page, to the server page, and I click the button to online chat. Go down, click the button to online chat on HostGator. And what happened there was I go in and I say, hey, my websites aren't working. Can you please tell me if your server's down? Well, you have to log in to verify your account. To check if a public-facing server is down? You're kidding me? That's insanity. So I closed the chat, gave him a 1-star rating, said he's not helpful, my problem's not resolved, went back in. The next guy, I'm like, never mind. I went down to the park down here and I jumped on a swing and I swang for a good 25 minutes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Go on to the swings, baby. Every time I listen to Alex Jones, I feel the need to buy bone broth and water filters. Curiously, I'm going to say bone broth, sorry. So with bone broth, I just had some soup made with bone broth today. I make my own homemade chicken noodle soup, and it's fabulous. And I had some of that today. And the thing is, people say, oh, you're getting sick. Try some chicken noodle soup. Just don't try any real chicken noodle soup that you buy at the store anymore. To have chicken noodle soup that actually has good effects, you have to make it from bone broth. And so I have bone broth chicken noodle soup, and I had that for dinner today. That was fabulous. I topped it off with some completely homemade, made from raw milk, mint chocolate chip ice cream. Oh boy, I can't wait to get that cooking channel up. I'll show some of my skill in the kitchen. All right. But anyway, you have all sorts of companies that are kind of misbehaving. You have this host company, EIG is a company. If you want to get web hosting, look up the company EIG. I forget what their name is, like Endurance International Group or something, I forget. But look them up, look at the host you're looking at, and flee in terror if the company you're looking at is on there. We've had some pretty good luck with SiteGround as a group, and SiteGround's major advantage is they support the free Let's Encrypt in SSL, which I would not use if you're doing things like credit card transactions, but for any other basic website, using SiteGround and the free SSL, that will boost your SEO. It's a lot better than nothing. Like HostGator, I can't use a free SSL. I'd have to buy the SSL. And then you have issues. Let's see. I think A2 Hosting is who I will move to when I decide I'm going to move. GoDaddy's not bad, and it pains me to say that because for a good decade, GoDaddy was the worst hosting company in the world, but they are surprisingly good right now. They're fast. Their servers are up to date. Their service technicians are good. They're friendly people. They're actually from the country you're calling from, which is handy. And I think whoever was doing the overly sexual commercials that offended me so bad back in the day, they went off to, I think they're working for Chevy or something, because now the GoDaddy commercials seem to be fairly calm. But that was the biggest reason, because I don't want to deal with that crap. Our life is too messed up for us to drill that crap into our heads. And we need to be people of integrity and people of decency. That is how we succeed in this world. Integrity and decency. All right. So, back to corporatocracy. What I wanted to identify is the conspiracy theory that goes around this. And like I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Well, maybe. I don't know. I am wearing a tinfoil hat, and I have an alien in a tinfoil hat back here. I read 1984, and I do have an Illuminati eye, so whatever. But the conspiracy theorists will point out that there's only like 4 companies and they control the whole world. Of course, in the Illuminati view, they're back there and they're just kind of hiding everything back. I don't know, whatever. So in reality, though, there is some reality to this type of thing. So what I'm actually going to show you is, this is a chart that only deals with food. Okay, I'm going to show you a chart that only deals with food. Not that. I guess that'll work, yeah. So this chart only deals with food. These are the only 10 companies who own 99 or so % of the food market. The only company I know of off the top of my head that is not on this chart, and I looked for it, is Hershey. Hershey, which is not too far from where I live, Hershey is the only company on the mainstream company I know of that's not on this list. And they have resisted buyouts from Nestle for years, and several other people. Oh, hi, Corporatocracy 2016. I have not seen you in a while. How's it going? I was waiting for whatever creature you said captured me in the wilderness last week. All right. So let's see. Catching up on comments here. Homemade chocolate chip ice cream. Yeah, GoDaddy's made a lot of improvements on the back end since they stopped pouring as many millions into ads. Absolutely. So, looking at this chart, you can probably identify several of these companies, maybe most of these companies, and all of these companies are owned by only 10 groups. That's scary. Now, another group came down, and what they had said, let's comment down there a little bit, Cooper Tech, please. Thank you. Don't mind the laughs occasionally, but it's getting too close to the line there, bud. All right, so another group, I want to say it was this one here. Let me just double check. If the page loads. Try and get the page loaded. I want to say it was, I forget exactly where it was, but one company was looking at the number of, individual individual media companies, and they said that 80% or so of the media companies were 80% of those of the media companies were owned by, I want to say it's 50 different corporations, like 50 different smaller companies. And then what happened then is that the media companies, all those same, they tracked those same media companies, and then they found that all of the companies are now owned by only 6 different groups. And so 6 different groups are controlling pretty much all of the media. And that's why we're having such a fight with like YouTube ads right now, the adpocalypse and everything else. It's kind of becoming an interesting place in an interesting world. Switch to Linux is a globalist. My knowledge of the definition of a globalist, I'm not sure I'd say I'm a globalist. Trying to think. Zuckerberg, globalist. No, I'm not a globalist. Like, globalist. Who's the globalist that I know? I'm actually more of a traditionalist in a way. And I'm going to show you that as we go through this, conversation here. Oh, except I accidentally closed over my outline. I gotta pull my outline up. Oh, you accidentally got deleted. No. Yeah, I'm not a globalist like Zuckerberg, that's for sure. So the problem is, as more and more companies will come out. Hey, I bet my definition of globalist is just hitting you now as you write that. What if Google bought my cats and then they'd be advertised? Ooh, Alex Jones style globalist. Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is Alex Jones a globalist too? I know he's a fruitcake. I don't know if he's a globalist though. But basically, with corporatocracy, as more all of the company brands become consolidated into fewer and fewer companies, those fewer and fewer companies now have more and more power, and this leads rise to corporatocracy. Because now one central company or a few central companies can go in and push governments in certain directions to move the laws. And that's how it happens. And I identified two different things. Now, some people want to say Trump's causing all this problem. And other people are like, no, it's not Trump, it's Obama. And the challenge is that it's not exclusive to either of the political parties. Both the political parties need to go somewhere. We need to abolish all parties, in fact. With this being said, what happens is, and I identified a major in the news recently corporatocracy type act that was signed into law under Obama, and another one that was signed into law under GW before him. But we can also look to some more recent laws as well, like Obamacare may fit under this, although the actual information I could find on Obamacare is way too close to conspiracy theorists, so I didn't want to touch that one with a poll lest I discredit myself. And the other one that I looked at was the ISP Privacy Acts by Trump, which was definitely corporatocracy. And so basically with that, it was the ISPs were putting a whole lot of money and effort into lobbyist efforts, not just at the FCC, but also at Congress, which is why the FCC reversed the rules and Congress wrote a law about it and the Senate wrote a law about it and President Trump signed it into office. That was a corporatocracy activity because it was the corporate interests of the ISPs that, despite reports came out saying 70% of all people said no, do not give ISPs the right to sell our privacy. Despite the vast majority, and what is the political people are supposed to be in office to do the majority of what their constituents in office, whatever the majority of the constituents in their area, they are supposed to represent them, hence representatives. Let's do some studies in etymology. All right. And so you have this issue going on where it very much became clear that in the ISP issue, the ISPs were directing the government at the FCC level, at the congressional level, at the Senate level, and it was signed into law. That's corporatocracy. But it's not like I don't want to jump down and sit here and people going, oh, well, it's just Trump. It's just Trump. Lots of corporatocracy happened under Obama, and I'm going to identify one of those here shortly. And the first one I know of for a fact that I've researched, I'm definitely before this, but the first one I know for a fact that I researched was in 2005 under George W. Bush, signed the revisions to the Bankruptcy Acts. So we're going to cover both of these guys after I have a quick look at the comments here. Ryan, don't rip. Corporatocracy is antithetical to self-reliance. Correct. There's latency for the footage. The audio is slightly ahead. Oh no! Nothing I can do. Quoting Eli the computer guy, I can't do nothing about it. That's on YouTube. Hey Diego, welcome. How are you? All right. Let's see. I don't think there's anything I can do about the syncing. It's supposed to have like this syncing option, sync preview to player, but yeah, it doesn't ever work. All right. So here is the Obama. The Obama one was the. You guys remember? Oh, it's for the children. It's always got to be for the children. Obama signs into office November 13th, 2013, the Emergency Epinephrine Act. It's for the children. Awesome. Totally for the children. We want to make sure that these poor children, as they are eating peanuts, do not collapse dead. It's for the children, the Epinephrine Act. The Epinephrine Act requires any school or any other group that works with children that receives any government funds has to have on stock at least 2 non-expired EpiPens at all times and have a nurse and 2 additional, I'll say school officials capable of using those EpiPens at any given time in the building. All right. Sounds awesome for the children. Until we dig back a little bit further. I have clove tea today, and it's awesome. Nothing like eugenol. Eugenol is the natural antiseptic found in clove. I was a joy to have in organic chemistry, by the way. Our organic chemistry professor, we had 3 unknowns we had to identify. Our unknown list is anything sold by Sigma and Aldrich, who at the time were different companies. Now they're combined as one. So she hands me the first one. I open it up. I hand it back to her. I say, it's arcarvone. Next. She says, go prove it. Arcarvone is the same chemical as spearmint oil. I knew that one pretty quick. All right. So back in 2007, the EpiPen was a useful device, but not very good. Or not very expensive. They cost $50. You bought them in a 2-pack. $100 for a 2-pack. No big deal. You know, if you're going to keel over and die from eating a peanut, death by peanuts. That's the way I want to go. If you're going to keel over and die by a peanut, you'll spend $50 to keep this emergency device around. You could probably keep it for an extra year or so after the expiration date, but who knows? Never know. Well, in 2013, Mylan purchases the EpiPen from some German company. It's like, oh yeah, this thing's it's cheap. It's $1. It doesn't cost anything to make. It's whatever. So they bought it. Well, it was 2007-ish when they bought the company. In 2013, they had raised the price from $100 for the 2-pack to $265. And then 3 years later, in 2016, the price went up to $609. That's $300 for a pen that costs $1 to make. At the same time, the CEO, the new CEO who was involved in this, lobbied Congress paying $4 million to get the Emergency Epinephrine Act passed so that now schools have to purchase it. Of course, they can get the cheaper version as long as they agree not to ever buy their competitor's project. So that would be called anti-competitivism. And now it is required of all schools to purchase this one product that is only made by this one company who jacked up the price $500 all at the take of this. That is corporatocracy. And of course, the school pays whatever the school pays, and then whatever the difference is between the list price of $600 and whatever the school paid, which would be free or $112, guess what? The federal government kicks the rest of that difference between $500 and $600 right back to the company for every one of them done under the funding for schools. So our tax dollars are going to the government for Mylan to buy a product that costs $1 to make, jack up the price 700 bajillion%, force the whole country to buy the things, and then force the government through school loans and funding to pay the company back so the CEO can own a yacht somewhere. That's corporatocracy. And I'm not against a company being successful. But I am against this type of stuff where the company gets so big that they move on into this problem. And this is a challenge because there's no reason that EpiPen should not. Sure, let's raise the price. Maybe $200 now. That was a decade ago. 2007, that was a decade ago. We can double the price in a decade, I guess. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. So that's kind of how that goes. Let's have a look at some comments here. All right, good to know it's synced for most people. That's cool. Formatted my tablet trying to install Linux. That's right. It probably had something like spyware on it anyway. Death by peanuts, but not by mints. Definitely not by Linux mints. Nope. Oh, no, no. Use it to run Windows 8. Now it's stuck on no bootable device. Please restart system. You might try, depending on what the tablet is, Ryan, there might be like a master reboot. I don't know. I'd have to see the tablet and what's on there. Hello, Thirsty Fox. How are you? Whomdivore? Whomdivore? Is that somebody who eats people? Another word for cannibals? UEFI disable secure boot. If that doesn't, the tablet may be ARM processor or 32. Yes. Yeah, is it was it running Windows 8? Was it running Windows 8 RT? If it was running Windows 8 RT, it's an ARM processor. If it was running Windows 8 Professional, then it was or Windows 8 just desktop, then it would be an Intel, an x80 or an x86 or AMD 64 processor. Chances are it's not 32-bit either way, unless it's a 32-bit ARM. I don't know. But definitely check those. See what was the original OS. If it was originally the Windows 8 RT, then that means it's an ARM processor. Whom's Ode Clock? Okay. Did disable secure boot, still will not boot any Linux distro. Yeah, if it is an ARM, again, if it is an ARM processor, you'd have to make sure that you have some ARM things. So you might look at like Raspberry Pi things might load. I don't know, because the Raspberry Pi is also ARM. You might look there. But look for Linux distros specifically running in ARM if that's the case. So new to your channel, take my subscription. Intel Windows tablet. Yeah, it could be an ARM Intel processor though. And that's kind of what we're looking at. All right. So the other example, we're going to go ahead and go into this one again. This was the bankruptcy laws. Now the actual law here, regular Windows 8. So is it like let's see, regular Windows 8. USB. Are you trying to run will it boot off a live key? Check if it'll boot off a live key. That might tell you something. All right, so what happened in 2005, MBNA was so nice as to write a new bankruptcy law to override the one from the 1970s. So basically, the challenge was, back in the 70s, it was almost impossible to get a credit card. Like, let me tell you, if you want to get off of credit cards, where's it at? A little impromptu, no affiliation, but Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace University, absolutely go take this class. That is excellent. And I teach it. If you're in the State College greater area and you're watching this, I will probably be helping teach it again. And in my church, we will teach it in September. So if you're local to this area, let me know and I'll let you know when we're thinking about. But that is a fabulous course. But anyway, back in the 70s, it was difficult to get a lot of credit, and so bankruptcy was pretty lax. But what happened is we had this thing through the 80s and 90s where consumerism was growing like mad, and then what happened is with consumerism growing like mad, then the credit card companies and other credit issuers just started piling debt on top of debt on top of debt. Gets to the point where we get so used to the fact that, it's just a given you're going to have a car loan. When you get to that point where you're going to have a car loan and you're going to have payments, you have a sorry state in your life. All right. But the problem is when all of this credit started shooting forth, a lot of people found themselves way out in the ocean. Like you're swimming out in the ocean, you get pulled in by riptide. And you're like, help, I'm in the ocean. The sharks are coming. The sharks are coming. I can't feel the ground. And then what happened is and MBNA and a group of other credit card companies came out and they're like, we're going to help you revise the credit card laws. And what they did is they made it a lot harder to file bankruptcy, and they increased the time to 7 years that you could not file bankruptcy again. So you kind of had that problem going. So with all of that, this change in the law greatly affected the credit card industry and damaged the consumer industry. But there was a bigger problem. What happened is once the people went up to this point in time, because people get addicted to spending. You get up to this point in time, you're like, I'm like so totally stuck. You get this relief. You can have everything I have, but it's got to be over. Except now you have a ruined credit. And they did such a great job of teaching you that the credit score is the almighty God. Bow to FICO. Bow to FICO, everybody. Bow to FICO. FICO score is based on 5 parts. Every bit of it is how much debt you take out. It does not matter how good you are with money. It doesn't even matter how much money you have. The 5 points of the FICO score, according to their own website, is how much money you loan. If I don't think I can do this from memory, but I'm going to try. What is your debt to income ratio? What is your, how recently have you had debt? What is your, what is the type of debt? How frequently do you repay the debt? And of course, X minus 1 items, where X is the number of items in the list. So there's 4 of them. And then there's another one in there. Okay. But now we've done such a good job of teaching people that the credit score is almighty. You've gone through bankruptcy. You have dropped a nuclear bomb on your credit. And so the credit card companies come right on back to you. We're going to give you a little credit card just to help you build your credit back up. That's their favorite customer because they cannot claim bankruptcy for another 7 years. And they will not have the discipline to not spend. Corporatocracy, MBNA, working the political system to get customers that have no option of an out. Wow. Okay, what are you installing? What type? The processor is from an Atom. Oceans and sharks are coming. The sharks are coming. Yes, they are. If you're trying Ubuntu GNOME, many of those Windows tablets had a NVIDIA card, I think, that did not work well with GNOME. So try installing Ubuntu Mate or either Ubuntu Mate or Ubuntu XFCE just to see if it'll work. I'm not saying that absolutely you're going to run it on there, but try it with that just to see if it's going to work, because that is, it might simply be an issue. Like, for example, Tails is based on GNOME, and I actually have one computer in my office that will not boot. Tails will not boot on it. And so make sure that I just test that, because GNOME is known to cause some problems in that respect. All right. Ryan, Intel, let's see, Intel Atom x86, some Linux OSs like Ubuntu are dropping x86, especially Ubuntu GNOME, or try Ubuntu GNOME 16.04, not 17.04, which dropped x86. Yes, that is also a good point. Piggy, you're scaring me. You know your stuff. Okay. Well, look at the processor. If you can see what the processor is, don't just go and download the 32. Look up the processor and see. If it's running Windows 8, you're probably not a 32-bit processor. And it will make a difference. 32-bit will not load on a 64-bit. Slower consuming processor. Is Xubuntu still buggy? Yeah. I use Xubuntu, or is it Xubuntu? No, I'm sorry, I use Elubuntu. I don't know if Xubuntu is still buggy. Elubuntu still is buggy a little bit. All right, back to this. So now we're getting into corporate misbehavior. So I already talked about the corporate misbehavior post. And if you didn't see the, let me see if I have that picture there. This is a hilarious picture. Let me do this. Got to stop it from auto loading, I think, though. It's going to play an ad. Oh, it's not going to play an ad. Where is it? Just trying to. I need to grab the. I need to grab the image or the videos. All right, we'll do that. So, if you look at this top video, this is my video here, corporate misbehavior. Literally the day I'm writing the article on corporate misbehavior, I pull into my parking lot and I see this. What this is the mail truck parking in the only non-parking place in the empty parking lot. You can't make this stuff up. But this is my video, corporate misbehavior, where I talked about all that other stuff. So that was kind of fun. Oh boy. So that's kind of the problem with corporate misbehavior there. So with that being said, hey, greetings there, Red Falcon Ron. Shameless promoting of the system admins. Check out Red Falcon Run there. I help out with the servers on that game. It's my brother. Anyway, let's see here. Let's see. Right-clicking on Windows menu, click on System. Well, he can't get into Windows. That's the problem. But if you know what the processor is, you can put it on an internet search. All right. So as far as so we've talked about corporatocracy. We talked about corporate misbehavior. I wanted to end with some solutions here. Like, what types of things can we do? And I want you guys to think about what types of things can we do to battle corporatocracy outside of rioting in the streets. No rioting in the streets. That's bad. We need to be like calm human beings, respectable. All right. So with that, I pulled out a few interesting things. So with, and also if you're checking out the Red Falcon Run game, we are working on this week opening up for some other countries, I think. I forget the list. But we're going to work on that. Hopefully we can get it figured out. First thing I wanted to say about what can we do, and this is going to sound odd. My list actually sounds kind of odd, but what can we do? Well, the first thing I identified is buy local food rather than buying at large food chains. So I talked about my mint chocolate chip ice cream I have this afternoon, and I'll tell you, mint chocolate chip ice cream. Homemade, even the chocolate chips are homemade. When you start making a lot of your own homemade stuff, you will not go back. Like, I actually have the ability to make sodas here at home. Now, I don't like sugar anymore, so I haven't made a homemade soda in a long time. So at that point in time, then I do like still making seltzer waters and things, but regardless, everything that I've ever made from home has become far superior than the stuff that I buy. So I make my own ice cream. I make yogurt to make smoothies. I don't like yogurt, but I do make yogurt so I can make smoothies. I make my own homemade pudding, my own homemade pudding pops, my own homemade ice cream of a bajillion different flavors, and other flavors on the experimental list. Chocolate-covered banana pops are excellent homemade. So yeah, the homemade chocolate chip recipe, if you're interested in that, is I mix equal parts of coconut oil and cocoa powder and probably approximately that much sugar. You usually in baking want to have twice as much sugar as cocoa powder, but I usually keep it all about the same. All about the same. Heat it up, stir it around nice, and then once it's getting pretty cool, add in a dash of vanilla, and then you freeze it. I actually freeze it just like over a plastic lid to another glass Pyrex pan, and then that allows me to break it up and then bash it into little chips. Totally awesome. So then the mint chocolate chip ice cream is, I use half a cup of cream, whip that up. I add I'm sorry, one cup of cream, whip that up in a blender, and then add 2 cups of milk, half a cup of sugar, and some vanilla. And then for the mint, I add, I want to say half a teaspoon of peppermint extract. And that's your mint ice cream base. So that's kind of that. All right. So let's check in on comments here real quick. Let's see. Actually, let me finish my point on buying local. So I get my milk from a local dairy farmer. I go in, actually get my eggs there too. You know you have good eggs when you almost run over the chickens. In fact, why did the chicken cross the road? To get in the way of my car. That's why the chicken crossed the road. But I almost run over my chickens over there, and if the fence weren't in the way, I could potentially be stampeded by the cows that give me the milk every week fresh. So I use raw milk right from the farm, raw eggs right from the farm. And then the next thing is look for farmers markets or farmers co-ops. Just doing a little bit of internet searching, search up farmers market and type in your city. You'll probably find something. There is a USDA thing, but being that they're pretty much anti-raw milk and anti anything that's good, I generally am not a huge fan of that. So anyway, that's that. So buy your food as locally as possible. Definitely avoid the large companies as much as is possible. And, just be very cognizant. Of course, I'm always going to say use cash too. Don't use your cards and things. You don't want them tracking you everything. All right. So all you can really do is not buy their products, but not enough people will do it at the same time. Yes, that is definitely true. And we're going to get into some more of that in fine detail, I think. Let's see. Ubuntu Mate 32-bit, trying that out on the tablet. I bet you're going to need the 64, but let us know how it works, Ryan. I'd love to hear how it works. All I can make is nothing, but I can grab Oreos. See, you give me some Oreos, I turn it into cookies and cream ice cream. Because you take up some Oreos. I want to say, how much Oreos is it? I think I want to say I use I want to say it's like 2 cups, cup and a half, 2 cups of Oreos, mix in with some butter, churn that into a very nice Oreo crust, layer it to the bottom of the pan, and then you whip up some vanilla ice cream and put in Oreo chips. Cookies and cream ice cream cake, you cannot beat it. Homemade. All right. One person can't make a difference. That is very correct, Alcy. One person cannot make a difference. That is why I'm teaching this stuff, so we can all get together and do something. All right. Thought you didn't like sugar. That is correct. I do not like sugar. I try to cut back as much sugar as I can. Pretty much the only exceptions I will make is making my own homemade desserts and things. And because you can control it. For example, when I make sodas, they have half of the sugar as anything else. So yes, that is correct. I actually avoid as much sugar as I can, and I've cut sweetness mostly out of my diet. So thank you for bringing that up. But at the same time, I've gotten to the point where I cannot eat even regular processed food that they put a decent amount of sugar in. It just does not taste good to me anymore. And that's kind of cool because I just like to make all my stuff anyway. Let's see. Episode suggestion. Open source mint chocolate chip ice cream. I actually, for the cooking channel I'm doing, I actually have footage already recorded for making homemade pudding, ice cream, yogurt. I forget what else I have recipes for, but I'll have to look it up. The only thing that's delaying me getting the cooking channel launched is I couldn't get the video right for how I wanted the intro logo. So I decided what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually do a whole lot of combining stuff in TFHT20Live and combining stuff in Blender and kind of produce some mayhem of logo-iness. And so that's what we're going to do. So that's actually what's holding up the cooking channel right now is I need a good intro video, and that's what I'm doing. Hello, Linux for today. Suicidal chickens. Woohoo! Suicidal chickens all the way. So you have a good egg if you crack it open and the yolk is a deep yellow. If it's not a deep yellow, they're not getting quite as much of the nutrients that they need. The chicken crossed the road to prove to the armadillo that it can be done. Amen to that. Of course, if you're up here in the Northeast, it's to prove to the possum it can be done. But I was drinking Amarillo coffee, driving down in Amaretto, Texas, and I almost ran into an armadillo. So, whatever. Always avoid big companies. Absolutely. I use honey instead of sugar. Yeah, the thing is, though, is using honey instead of sugar really doesn't do anything because when you get down to the molecular level, it's really not any difference. In fact, honey is potentially a little bit worse because there's a higher fructose content, and fructose is actually the part in sugar that's not good. So what's the difference between sugar and high fructose corn syrup? Pretty much zero. The difference is sugar is a 50-50 one molecule glucose combined to one molecule fructose. High fructose corn syrup is between 45 and 55% fructose, so it's effectively the same. Honey is a little bit more. The problem is that fructose is metabolized in your body as fat. In fact, it's metabolized the same way that alcohol is, which is why drinking so much soda gives you the same beer belly that alcoholics get. And if you cross-link all of the symptoms of long-term beer and alcohol exposure, it's the exact same symptoms as long-term soda exposure. If you want more information on that, check out Sugar, the Bitter Truth by Robert Lustig. It's like a YouTube lecture with several million views. Go figure. It's like an academic lecture type of stuff they used to make us sit through. But that's excellent. But yeah, honey's really good in some things for sure. It's just, I hear some people, there's a lot of misconceptions about sugar, but sugar itself has so many different names that it's really hard to distinguish. Why'd the penguin cross the road? To CD to the other side. Oh yeah, geek jokes. Switched to food. Well, the channel is called Home Cooking Hacks, and I don't think I have any source files on this computer I'd show you. All the source files are on the other computer. Hit film for Express. All right. Just a little about the sugar. I applaud you for making your own food. Yes, absolutely. No, that's a valid question, though, because I do actually avoid sugar as much as I can. Which is funny, because if you go in the grocery store, how much stuff actually has sugar. Another video talked a little bit about vitamin B17, which seems like cyanide when broken down. Correct. Laetrile, that was it. It was at the top of my head. The compound is called Laetrile. It is vitamin B17. It is called a chelated cyanide molecule. So there's a cyanide molecule in the bottom of it, and it's chelated. So that means that it's so connected that it's completely bound. The problem is the only way for that thing to open up is by a specific enzyme that is extremely upregulated in cancer cells and other cells that are seeking what is called an apoptosis pathway. So basically the cell destruction pathway. So by supplementing by putting B17, which is called Laetrile, into your diet, you will effectively be targeting cancer cells for death. It will push them down apoptosis pathway. And so, yes, so if you do look at vitamin B17, it is a cyanide compound. That's actually why almonds have a bitter taste to them, and apricot seeds is a great source of it. So when apricots come in season, I will go buy apricots, eat the apricot, crack the middle, and eat the seed. Neat stuff. Natural sugar, but natural sugar went to better. Clarify that, Elsie. No, but natural sugar and high fructose corn syrup, essentially the same thing. Good free software for making animated logos and video editing. HF4E. HF4E. Let me look that one up real quick. HF4E. I'm getting on HF4E. Let's see. Best free. Okay, let's try that. I think I found it. Best free video and rendering software. Now there's a reference to Blender. Oh, hit film 4E. Okay. Not allowing me to boot the USB. Did you, Ryan, did you try the Ubuntu Mate 64? Try that. Red Falcon Run, that's a Mac and Windows. This is switched to Linux. We can't use that. No, I guess that is it. Let me grab the thing though. If you are a Windows guy though, this is the website for what he's recommending. So it's apparently this. Is it open source? That's a question, or is it free software certified? That's is a good question to ask, because there's a discrepancy between free, like open source, and free as in I can edit it, stuff like that. So just something to keep in mind. But all right. So anyway, if you are on Windows or Mac, that seems to be a system you can use. All right. So my second tip, what can we do about corporatocracy? Curiously, I was just talking about free versus open source versus all these other things. Listen to Richard Stallman. How's that for a fun view? All right. Isn't Atom-based based only on x86? I don't know. I have no idea. That's a good question. Seems to bypass USB. You know what? One of my computers in the office, the BIOS is totally screwed up. I have to get it into another system and manually reconfigure the UEFI configuration through the terminal. And that's kind of, that's what I have to do. Like anytime my Ubuntu accidentally installs, like updates itself, it wipes out my entire UEFI partition and I have to go back and rebuild it manually. Yeah, this is it. Enya, I'm going to call you Enya. Open the BIOS settings, definitely. If you can open the BIOS settings, see what you can do from there. It might be, yeah, that's one I'd have to see more of the model and stuff. Anyway, number 2. Let's finish number 2, then I'll get back to the comments. Listen to Richard Stallman. Some people may consider his recommendations very extreme, which is a valid point, I think. Who knows? I might be extreme. Of course, I'm sitting here with a tinfoil fedora on my head and an alien on the shelf behind me. Go figure. But regardless, Richard Stallman, though, does make a lot of very good points, and we should at least listen to what he has to say and weigh in on what we should do. Of course, he doesn't do anything that's not completely free software. By free, he means free as in we are free to have it, we are free to distribute it, we are free to edit it, we are free to audit it. We're not talking about cost. What does it actually cost to have? We're talking about, is it open, available, does not restrict us? Is it non-proprietary? So because of that, he will not watch anything on DVD, and anything has to be moved down through completely free and open. I'm gonna try to avoid using the word open source in respects to him, because he does not like that. And the difference between free software and open source software, he highlights it's more of a philosophy difference between it. Open source is all about, can we make improvements by all auditing the source code, but free means that can we make the changes to the source code that we want for what we need to do, and he makes a distinct difference. And so, because our point specifically deals with Richard Stallman, I'm going to honor that to the best that I can and say free software instead of open source. But once I'm done with that point, we're going to go back to open source. All right. So as far as your software is concerned, use free software, use Linux distros for your personal use, only use a Windows or Mac when you need a specific application, and, just fight against Microsoft doing all the crap. Like all the stuff they just did, once again, if you're on Windows, they gave you another update, whether you want it or not, the creators update, and they're just adding more stuff and spying a whole lot more, etc., etc., etc. So consider using Linux and stuff like that. Use that for all your personal stuff. And just, like I said, move over to Windows if you need a game. Move over to Windows if you need some specific applications. But when it comes down to browsing, personal stuff, maybe even some emails, depending on how you have your workflow set up, Linux is great for all that kind of stuff. So use Linux distros as much as you can. Libre, yes, that is the term Richard Stallman uses. In fact, he just had a new video out recently that was a fabulous video. It was based on Libre stuff. Oh, come on. Kitty wants to come up and say hi, I think. Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, Kitty. Hi,
Hey, everybody. Switch to Linux. It rocks.
All right. So, Deek. Kitty. All right. Finish that comment. So let's have a look at comments here. BIOS settings, boot settings. How was I not subscribed? I don't know. You know what? YouTube might have unsubscribed you. There's people that just find out they get unsubscribed to stuff all the time. Stupid creator update. Yep. Try burning USB. Check if there's a light on it. Yeah, maybe just verify the USB works. That might be good. Toshiba Link states the processor is 64-bit. Yes, I was pretty sure it was 64-bit. I'm not sure, I think Windows 8 was capable of running on 32-bit, but I don't think they intentionally did that on any systems released. I don't know, though. I'm not sure. Use Windows to play games only. They waste their telemetry bandwidth on me because I do nothing else with the computer. Yep. Yeah, I have one. I have my Windows 10 computer is named Evil Spy 10. Don't use NVIDIA. There is a light. All right. Use Arch Linux. All right. Kitty! He likes this. Look at this. Oh, yeah. I know y'all want to pet the cat. Most intelligent customers realize our software only fools teenagers. Microsoft acronym. Most intelligent customers realize our software only fools teenagers. Like it. Sweet. Windows when needed. Honestly, I haven't had a need for Windows since the mid-1990s. I've been solely on Linux since 1998. Still do all the same Office stuff. Yep. I'm stuck with Windows at work. No! I need Windows because of the game and the keyboard software. Keyboard software? You must have a fancy keyboard. Kitty is begging for the tinfoil fedora. I can just tell. There, cat in a tinfoil hat. Let's see. Yes, Windows 13. Okay, yep. Okay, he does not like the tinfoil hat. I actually put a picture of both of the cats in a tinfoil hat on Patreon. It's a public file. You can just go over there. I'm kind of doing public channel updates publicly on Patreon, so there's more content than just what's behind Patreon walls there. All right. Yes, Windows 8 is 32-bit. I own the company. Yay! Well, there you go. You have a lot of motivation to tell everybody they have to be on Linux if you own the company. That's good. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh. Got a cat named Micah. She's at my grandma. She loves her neck rubbed. Yeah. Aww. He's going to purr so loud that I'll be able to hear it. Stuck with Macs at school as well as Windows laptop for other class stuff. Ugh. All right. Number 3 thing that we can do to fight against corporatocracy. Reset my camera here. Personal computers as cubes. The more cubes tutorials I'm doing, and thank you, by the way, for your cubes recommendations, Dominique. The more I'm using cubes, man, the more I love that OS. That is a good system. May not be the prettiest, but holy moly, is it good. All right. So beware of consumerism and fight against it. All right. So consumerism, of course, you can check out my outdoor philosophy talk on consumerism, where I did it at with the backdrop of the Penn State Business Building. So avoid consumerism. Fight against consumerism as much as you possibly can. So how do you do this? Well, one way is to cut your life back a little bit. In fact, I was just talking to a friend of mine who's probably still watching today. He's just like, I got motivated to get out and do stuff. I hope it's okay if I share this story. He's like, I got motivated to get out and just get rid of a bunch of crap. And so he went through his house, put a bunch of stuff up on Craigslist, and sold it all in one day. That's awesome. We should all do that. We should all have Craigslist Day, right? Go through your house, find one item that you haven't touched in the last month, and sell it on Craigslist. Except my kitty, he can't go. All right. So, in trying to cut your life back, I read this book a number of years ago, and this is fabulous. This is called Simplify Your Life, 100 Ways to Slow Down and Enjoy the Things that Really Matter. So this book totally rocks. It is simply like page and a half-y little 100 little tips. So this one is stop doing busy work and consolidate your investments, change the way you shop, rethink your buying habits, stop sending Christmas cards, cancel your magazine subscriptions, turn off the TV, reduce your go-go entertainment, build a simple wardrobe, sell the boat, move to a smaller house. So now this was actually written in the 80s in response to, if you were alive in the 80s, and I was, although I was very young, but in the 80s we had this push toward gizmos and gadgets, and in the 80s, one of those 80s stereotypes is the gizmos and the gadgets, and as seen on TV, and the retractable razor blade and whatever else. Yet all these gizmos and gadgets, of course, spawned on by the credit industry we were talking about earlier, because can't get a gizmo and gadget without a credit card. That's crazy talk. So this person here got so caught up in that, they're like, this is driving me crazy. And so she realized that you needed to just calm down, slow down, and return back to the things that are normal. And that is, I think, what we can do. We can still have our computers and our technology, but we got to learn to slow down and stop every now and again. So as you cut things back in your life, as you remove the excess crap from your life, make a Goodwill trip, throw old stuff out, learn to live with fewer belongings. As you learn to live with fewer belongings, you will have less of a desire to go out and spend your money on things. That means, guess what? You will have more money to do important things. You'll have more money for your future, and you will not have a house full of crap, so that when you need to change apartments every year, like I seem to be doing, you don't have piles and piles and piles of stuff to load around. Keeping your life simplified is a fabulous way to go. So that is a good way to fight corporatocracy. How does that help you fight corporatocracy? Because I don't need your stuff. All right, let's have a look at some comments. I see the comment thing's been going on. Crazy. All right. My school, I had a computer teacher in computer solutions. He let me use a Linux computer. Amen. Hooray, number 3. Yep. Name Mika. Pronounced Mika. All right. I wish I was in your school, Piggy. Yeah. Some of the challenges, one of the challenges, and I have another educational tinfoil hat time in me, and I'm going to talk about this problem. Sometimes your teachers don't even know this stuff. Like I had to take a C++, was it C++? I did a Visual Basic class just because I needed an intro programming course, and then I changed my major over to get what I actually wanted. It wasn't on the original application I filled out. So I changed over, and I had to now take principles of programming instead of intro programming. So I'm in a C++ class. And I also had physics too. And physics is a pain in the butt. It's like, I have to calculate between absolute relative errors. Well, I'm not doing this. I know Visual Basic. I have access to computer labs, so I wrote a program in Visual Basic to calculate between absolute and relative errors. So we're talking about this at the end of the class in C++. I was telling this to the teacher. She looks at it and goes, "Oh yeah, you should give me some pointers." I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "Oh, well, I'm teaching Visual Basic next semester. I've never seen it before." Really? 32-bit distro run on a VirtualBox as well as on a 64. Yes, it will. What you do is in the VirtualBox, let me switch to my screen here. In the VirtualBox, under your settings, you want to make sure that you select the appropriate size. So you'll see Red Hat 24 or 32, Red Hat 64. So you need to set up your VirtualBox to run the correct bit rate. So if you do have the 32, you can run it in a VirtualBox by just changing that setting. All right. Sell an old BlackBerry. I was writing the same thing. I already live that. The Walkman. Hey, if you watched my Audacity video the other day, you saw me use a Walkman. That's right. I did an Audacity video the other day and I pulled out a Walkman. I'm not putting my tinfoil fedora on Craigslist. Not a chance. I use this thing every week, man. That does not compute. Do not own a cell phone. Keep it that way. Keep it that way. Keep it that way. Your personal corporatocracy spying device. Ooh, a good video about Laetrile. Let's have a look at that video about Laetrile real quick. Pardon me, I'm going to come over here and look at a video about Laetrile. If it's cool, I'll change the screen to it. Yeah, without watching it, he does seem to cover a lot of the facts and stuff. So yeah, that YouTube video there is what I'm talking about with Laetrile. All right, we start slowing down. Shop and visit mall once a week till it becomes once a month. Yeah, I actually get in and out of the grocery store in like 5 minutes. And when you go to the grocery store, you just do the peripheral walk unless you need like spices or something or coffee. Like, can't go without your coffee, but got your spices, you know. Teaching web admin. Didn't know the difference between forward and backslashes. Yeah, the funny thing is, as I started my web design company, the school I was teaching at right before that, they actually had a web design certification, and the teacher who taught that would frequently call me in to ask advice about stuff. Hey, just the chemistry professor here. Yeah, I'll help out the web design professor. Yep. I died. Don't die. It's not cool. I used an iPhone, but I'm kind of forced to. You know, if between the smartphones, I actually like the iPhone way before I like the Android phone personally. It's want a phone that runs Linux. See, I just don't like Android. There's just too many challenges and problems in my estimation with Android. But I wish they didn't kill off the Ubuntu phone, and I'm curious to see if anybody picks up on it. Because I know KDE was doing some good stuff with that, but it required the Ubuntu phone as a core. VMware has DirectX support, and you can have more GPU RAM, 2 gigabytes to play on Windows. Yeah, and I've said many times the reason I don't use it is I can't do it with videos without a commercial license, well, not legally, and I'm not sure they'd catch me anytime soon. But it's not an open source platform, so it's a proprietary code. I believe. I'm not completely sure about that, but I do know, reading the EULA, you do require a commercial license, and since I do videos with monetization channels, yeah, that's called commercial, unfortunately. Dismissed class early because he couldn't get a URL to work. Oh boy. And we wonder why our educational's the bottom of the country. I guess I should not assume that was in the United States. Was that in the United States? Please tell me that wasn't the United States. Please tell me it was some third world country and you were doing this on a chalkboard. Please. Please. Yeah, Android is not privacy friendly. I think the iPhone is way more privacy friendly than the Android is. And I kind of noticed that by examining my router logs, because I lock them both down, but my iPhone is a whole lot less chatty on the network than the Android phone is. I was able to get Copperhead OS on my phone. Ooh. Accept the fact that your phone tracks your life, then shut it off or leave it in the nightstand. Well, the thing is, even shutting it off isn't necessarily good. If you want to know how to prevent this thing from going back and forth, legitimately, you wrap the thing in aluminum foil. Because the whole thing with aluminum foil hat, of course, a foil hat doesn't do anything. Doesn't. But if you take an electronic device like a phone and you completely wrap it in aluminum foil, you produce what is called a Faraday cage. And no signal will get in and out. That is how you protect something if there were an EMP. You take this item and you drop it in and all it has to be is any metal container that is completely surrounded, because the EMP blast will go right around it. But it also prevents any signaling from getting into it or any signal from going out of it. So if you need this thing to not do that, wrap it in aluminum foil. Of course, if aluminum foil is a little too tacky, you can actually buy an aluminum foil case. It's basically a cloth Faraday case for your phone. Several reporters will use them when they're going to go and meet with a source. So they'll have their phone with them, but there's absolutely no communication to it. It's the way that you can keep it safe. So that's how you do that. And if you want to know how that works, take your phone sometime, wrap it completely aluminum foil, and have your friend call you. It'll go right to voicemail. Close in Arkansas. Yeah, that may or may not be United States. The WordPress website, I use Freedom for my custom domain. Is my website safe? Piggy, chat with me afterwards. Since you are as young as you are, I'm actually a WordPress expert. Shoot me a PM. I will give you a free audit of your website. I will not do that for everybody, but I know that I'm not gonna charge you because I know how old you are. But shoot me a PM and shoot me your link to your website, and I will have a look and give you a security audit. Here I have an iPhone 5C. Yep, copper jack. Leave the smartphone at home. Yeah, sometimes I go out and just take a walk and leave the phone at home. It's fabulous. I'll make a foil case. You can also use a tin. My mother collects tins. Hundreds of thousands and millions of them. If there's ever an EMP, I'm going to go to my mother's house. I can protect everything. Soon, I'm going to get a cheap phone that works as a phone, since my main Samsung phone won't work with my carrier anymore. Oh, that's a bummer. What do you think about WhatsApp for messaging? No. Facebook? No. What messaging app do I use on my phone? I actually really don't. Piggy, just shoot the message through the YouTube messages if you don't know how to do that. I don't know. I'll figure it out and I'll shoot you a message. How's that? One of the projects I work with for messaging is using Signal. I'm not even a little leery of that, particularly since their main host is on a company that is repeatedly hacked. That frightens me a little bit. I actually, like I said, I use an iPhone for pretty much everything, and iMessages, at least from iPhone to iPhone, are encrypted, but I don't really pay much attention because I don't do anything with my texting. I text a few people here and there. There's like 4 people I text on any regular basis, and it's really stupid stuff. So yeah, it seems like maybe I should fully encrypt it, but honestly, I just don't care. I don't text nearly enough to make it worth my time. Be gone, Facebook demon. That's right. Let me bust out the Latin. I'll perform an exorcism on you. Look into Pigeon. Yeah, Pigeon is a an IRC chat thing. I'm not sure that's necessarily safe for sure. I have no idea though. I don't know quite as much about that. Made me laugh when I hit the wall. There's an EMP. Head to mother's house. Maybe Google Hangouts. Yeah, Google Hangouts isn't too bad. Of course, it's Google, but both have end-to-end encryption. Okay, Telegram and Wire are great messaging apps. Both have end-to-end encryption. So that's kind of what you need. If I cared, I'd look into either closer look at Signal or Wire, Telegram. Those are the things I'd probably look into. Tom, if you're watching, I just got your text. I'm not sure if you just sent them or if I'm getting delays. All right. Let's see. Number 4. We're on to 4. Woohoo, 4. Number 4. Use small businesses over larger businesses where possible. Now, there's a sad reality and a caveat. The sad reality is not all small companies will treat people well. And for example, look at that garage door opener thing. You know, a guy complained on a forum about a bad garage door opener, and it just went. He's like, "Oh yeah, well you can just return yours because I just blocked it off." Yeah. However, here's the sad reality. The sad reality is that when a small business comes over and demonstrates itself in any way as being a good or a usable service, it usually snapped up by a big company. And then they run it horribly into the ground. So I used to do software sales for a small startup academic company. And I remember I was working for the company when all of the company fit inside of the Acton Business School in Austin, Texas. Like just in the one classroom, which seats like 35, 40 people. That was the whole company. So I was one of like 5 people there within a year and a half of the thing started. They paid you a whole lot of money. You had to have a master's or higher degree to work for them in the field. And the company grew 300% year after year. It demonstrated itself up. It was bought in by a big company, and they laid all us PhDs off because they realized that we can pay college dropouts $10 an hour and get the same thing. Derp! And make a whole lot of money. And so the whole company's now been essentially run into the ground through corporate crap. They're of course still making money because they're never going to die because they're just too big. It's billions of dollars. But they laid off everybody who was making a lot of money. And, you know, I used to make a lot of money working for them. And then they're just like, nope, we don't need anybody anymore who's making more than $10 an hour. So that was it. So now I'm stuck with, $10 an hour to work for this academic company or do your own thing. And do your own thing, man. Do your own thing. Oh, boy. Signals encryption was hacked by the CIA. I thought that there was a report came out that the CIA could not break it. I thought that was the case, but I don't know. Do you have any articles or anything, Mark, to verify that? Because I had a huge fight about Signal with one of the contracts I work with because they wanted me to install stuff. I'm like, no, I'm not installing a proprietary app on my phone. I don't care how good you say it is. And so I looked into it in detail, and I thought that this one was not broken by it. So I don't know. Let me know. If anybody is in the know about that, let me know. See you later, Dominique. I will chat with you later. Yes, use your small businesses, get them to know you and you them. Absolutely. And that's why, I go down to the local farm and the local farmer knows me and I know him and we have great conversations, just show up. Hey, how's it going, man? And, oh, how the cows doing today? And, oh, yeah, good, what's the one's name? Is it Buttercup? Buttercup. It's one of the cows, I think. Is that right, I think? But anyway, going down to the local thing, and then I fumbled a goal last year, and I am going to, you guys can hold me accountable to it this year. I fumbled a goal that last year I wanted to do most of my shopping at a farmer's market. I think I hit a farmer's market twice. I need to do more of my work at a farmer's market. I want to get my meat there. I want to get my vegetables there. I want to get my fruits there. I want to go into the grocery store only when there is an item I cannot find at one of the other stores. You guys can hold me to that. That's my goal for this year, and it's getting to be farmer's market season. So we're going to do that. I'm going to focus a whole lot more on small businesses and working with relationships with getting the small businesses and the farmers markets going. So we have in State College area, we have a fabulous farmers market network. I think 5 days a week there's a farmers market somewhere around here. And so and anything from soap to meat to vegetables to whatever I want. So that's going to be the goal for this year. Like I said, I fumbled it last year, but we'll see. All right. Hey, that was fast. Number 4. Let's see. It's an article in Wired about CIA not being able to crack Signal. Yeah, I think that was the one that we had sent to us. I say or do, the internet is worth encrypting. I even do local banking. Yep. Trying messaging you through Google Hangouts, but I don't see you. Have you set it up? Yes, it is at account@westernmtnweb.com. That is my Google Hangouts. Nothing I do or say on the internet is worth encrypting. I even do local banking. There's an article in Wired about CIA not being able to crack Signal. The NSA didn't hack Signal's encryption. What they did was record the device desktop and grab credentials that way. Yeah, they can do that. There you go. CIA just hacked the phone and read the messages. Oh, look at that. Bypass Signal by... Have a look at that one there real quick. WikiLeaks says the CIA can bypass secure messaging apps. What does that mean? Collecting audio message encryption before the encryption is applied. So yeah, if that was the case, then that's the case, you know, because yeah, that is one of the weaknesses. I could encrypt any bit of technology coming in and going out of this place, but if you got a keylogger installed, it doesn't matter. Why only 22 people watching? I don't know. It's very possible only 22 people are watching because I just decided today in the crazy madness that I was going through that I was going to do this live, so I did not get a chance to put it up a day in advance, and I did not get a chance to promote it. So maybe that's why only 22 are watching it. But I promise it'll probably have at least a couple hundred views by tomorrow. Pretty much if I put a video up, it's getting a few hundred hits within a couple days. Let's see. Number 5. Shall we move on to number 5? When working with larger companies, save all correspondence, receipts, interactions, etc. This will help to fight a case should you need to do that. Oftentimes, you need to be willing to fight your case in the court of public opinion rather than fight in court. Group together if necessary. One of the things that a lot of companies try and do is kind of split you out, subdivide you, etc. And that's something that you got to fight against. And so we just got to fight. I did a search on DuckDuckGo. Oh well, at least it wasn't Google, right? Okay. All right. I just shot a message back and approved that contact there, Piggy. All right. So that's kind of what I had there. Last one was pretty short. So what do you guys think? Are there any other fun ways that that you know of that we can battle corporatocracy? And I guess, you know, I didn't include it. I'm not quite sure it'll work, but possibly just throwing... I don't know. Maybe you could win $1 million a week for life and stuff it in the ballot box with some guy's, you know, some politician's name on it. That might work. I don't know. But that's kind of one of those things. You just got to stop and think. I think ultimately the best way is just to learn to slow down your life a little bit. Learn to not have just so much stuff going on. Slow down. And do not use your phones and devices as your everything. I literally use this to check internet on the fly, to check email in the morning, make phone calls, and do a little bit of communication. I have no games on here. I do not install any extra apps on here. Let's see what I actually have installed as way of apps on this thing. I have VLC because I do not want to use the media player that's built in. I have it's literally called Geek Central. Which is my OpenVPN, OwnCloud, and my IP camera viewer. I have Kindle. I have a geocaching app. I have a banking app. Skype is on this, but it's not on my other one. And a couple Bible apps and a Dave Ramsey app. And Firefox because I don't want to use Safari. That's the extent of apps I have on my phone. I should just not do that. Pay in cash. Absolutely. I forgot pay in cash. Pay in cash and don't use Shoppers Club cards. cut out Shoppers Club cards. Most of the grocery stores around here most of the ones around here will have a card at the register. If they don't, petition the management to keep a card at the register so that they can scan it real quick. Because I don't want them to keep track of everything that they're doing. I go into the store, I pick up what I need, I pay cash, and I go. And it actually keeps me on budget. I feel like you got a raise, and that's kind of the way you want to run that. Just don't get so caught up in all the debt and all the fast and sliding this way and that way and not knowing what's going on. And so definitely do that. Don't eat in chain restaurants. Yes. Don't eat in chain restaurants. That is another great idea. I try to eat out as little as possible. And in fact, I can tell you, I think outside, now I have a business lunch that I attend twice a month. Outside the business lunch that we attend twice a month, I think I ate out one time this month. Maybe two, but I think it was only one. That's cool. I don't mind that quite so much. Every now and again, I got to get some poison in my body, make sure that my cleansing systems are still working. But for the most part, man, I've learned how to cook some of the most amazing food that I can't even get food that high quality in restaurants. And so definitely. So today you only need to have a USB to be invisible on the internet and the CIA. Check Tails and accessing Darknet. So booting off of USB, I actually have one of my main cubes installs is actually on a USB port as well. I actually have a lot of Linux distros around here that run exclusively off of USB. Now, actually, though, even if you want to be even more paranoid with Tails, you can run that off of a CD. You're not writing nothing to this. Cubes, though, I really like the cube setup. That's pretty cool. Pay in Bitcoin. And also, by the way, I'll say, like, Amazon, of course, still does tracking and stuff, but I like the fact you can now, in theory, use cash with Amazon. And as soon as I get the chance to test that, I'll do that. It will probably be a couple months, but we'll see what happens. Don't check bank accounts via Wi-Fi, especially on a phone. Yes, use your data line. If you're out and about, use your phone's data to check bank accounts. That is a very good security protocol. Obviously, in my house, I do because I feel pretty confident in my wireless network. If you have to do it on a Wi-Fi when you're out and about, you better be doing it through a VPN that you really, really trusts. Who uses Bitcoin? No comment. Gotta try running Tails on my tablet. I think I might have run Tails on a Surface once. It is, well, actually, it depends on the tablet. My Surface is a Surface Pro 1, which is a full processor. Tails does not run on an ARM-type processor for some reason. They've just never built one. You put Windows 10 on an ARM processor, but you can't put Tails on it. Oh well. Ryan, look at distrowatch.com. All right. All right. I think we have kind of come to the bottom of the comments. We've come to the bottom of my article. We've had some great discussions. Yeah, actually, I'm very surprised. I had half the number of viewers that I anticipated I might have, but it was a very, very short notice. So that was cool. Anyway, hey, thanks everybody for jumping online. And I will chat with everybody later. So with all that being said, don't forget your hat. Let's see, next live stuff. Let's see, what do I have come down the line? I'll tell you about that. I'm still working on, I'm just trying to make this thing as best as I can possibly make it. I'm still working on the video that is going to be called something to the effect of how to handle a student loan scammer. There was a student loan scammer that called me the other day, and I got him on the phone call. I held him up on a phone call for 6 minutes. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'm having a very fun time doing that. Doing things with TFHT20Live that I've never done before, too, which is kind of fun. So I'm doing that. And then, of course, since I'm doing this extremely complicated video on TFHT20Live, I'm going to go ahead and record a video on how to do a complicated video on TFHT20Live. So those are the things to look forward to down the road. I might try another live stream game soon. I'm not sure. And probably next Sunday for another tinfoil hat is my thought, but I'm not completely sure. I'll know a little bit more later. Like I said, I'm trying to put more public-y stuff on the things that are already determined public on the live part of the Patreon, and then I'm going to put any more advanced stuff on the paywall part of it. So with that being said, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget your hat, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.